This is RangerCast, Episode 16, Hasbro Fanstream Toy Announcements, recorded on Sunday, April 23rd, 2023. In this episode, an unannounced Mighty Morphin Mall tour, and a new chapter for Power Rangers Hyperforce. This is RangerCast. As in part 1, I'm Tyler, better known as Rudolph Volto. We've got Mike.
Still here, haven't been rebooted yet.
And Josh is still here.
What's up, February Pony Volume 2?
And Lamar is still here.
You guys are sticking around, so I'm going to stick around.
And we are plowing into overtime with all the news that we could not fit into part 1, as we talked about once and always. Power Rangers fans were eating well last week. On Monday, there was a Hasbro fan stream with a bunch of toy announcements. They gave us a look at the Lightning Collection remaster releases of the Armored Red Ranger, Green Ranger without the armor, and the Pink Ranger. Now, the Green Ranger and Pink Ranger both come with Tommy and Kim heads, respectively. The shield on the Red Ranger is removable, but the figure doesn't come with a head at all. Hasbro's excuse was that you can reenact the scene from the Green Candle where Jason has the shield and Tommy doesn't, or you can pop off the shield and throw it on Kim like the comics. But
They're fucked.
yeah, that's a lame excuse.
If we're releasing the definitive versions of stuff, their reasonings are so... this gets me. I'm not going to even go. I'm just going to say it's garbage. Garbage reasoning.
Yeah, and okay, like, I get... Like, on one hand, from a PR, public relations standpoint, I understand why they might not want to include a Jason head right now. But on the other hand, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean that's the only explanation I can come up with.
Yeah,
I think Austin St. John, they're waiting it out to see kind of whether he's going to be cleared or not, and they'll probably do what they did with Rocky's Tonfas and just we'll include an extra Jason head in another scene. I don't know, maybe they'll do a re-release of Draken. So see, we've got Jason's head that Draken can hold up.
I think it might be a strategy right now, because in Once and Always they found archive audio, despite their well-known issues with the materials from the Masters. They found archive audio of Jason Frank, Amy Jo Johnson, and Tui Trang, but with the exception of one line of Tyrannosaurus, the archive grunts and what have. Well, there were none used of Austin St. John in the special. It was a sound like
I noticed that
back in the day, and that stuck out to me. And I wonder if there is, an intentional strategy to avoid associating with him right now, whether he's getting money or not.
Man, that's hard because I can see that. Yeah.
By that logic, we're probably never getting a Wild Force Red Lightning Collection figure.
Or Ninja Storm, for that matter.
I could see them doing Ninja Storm. I think it's more an issue of looking forward because of Austin St. John's legal problems being specifically financial. I wonder if they think that because they would obviously have to pay royalties for using somebody's lines that they've recorded previously, so they'll go to everybody else. But I think that they may worry that come the end of the year, if Austin, for whatever reason, should get arrested for tax evasion, them having convicted, yes.
I mean, convicted.
If in the future Austin should get convicted for tax evasion, they do not want to have any tax records showing that they paid him royalties for something, because then it could go back to them, and that'll be more legal mumbo jumbo that they'll have to deal with. And no company wants to go through more for taxes than they have to. So that's probably the reasoning behind it.
I mean, that's, I guess, now you mention it, because Once and Always was Union. Um, if they used anything substantial, they, from, for example, Grid Connection, uh, they might have had to
Right.
pay him.
And they do not want to have Austin St.
Right,
John
and
on
I'm
their
curious
ledgers right now.
on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's something I'm curious on in general. And I know it's different than football is, but in football, like when you're a player at your school, they do own your image of the plays and stuff because you're in the OU gear or in your
No,
sports team's gear and everything.
NIL is separate now.
Right, but it's like, can they use your stuff from promotion? Well, yes, because you were playing for the team at that time, regardless of NIL type of deal. I kind of wonder if this is the same instance of, well, we can still use your stuff unless there was a contract sign while your time was on the show type of deal. That's something I would be very curious on, but I don't know
Right.
what their
Yeah.
legal stuff
Yeah.
looks
Like,
like.
I'm not a lawyer or any of that, but it's like when MMPR was made, that was all non-union. But in terms of using stuff that was made non-union in a union production, you know, it's complicated. I really just, I plead ignorance on that. See, also in the fan stream, we got more Cobra Kai crossover figs, which, whatever. And they are re-releasing the black and gold Zap Megazord, but without the NFT.
True
crap.
question. I've never known this. Do the black and gold
Because
Megazords sell well? Do people want them? I
I mean, they
understand they
keep
keep
making
making
them.
them. Do people want
They
them?
do keep making
it's a
them. Well, I mean, if you ask Scott Zillner over at Power Morphicon, they do.
Oh, well,
Like the black and gold in Japan, that's always like release, like associated with like the holiday season, and people
there's
here,
different meaning. Yeah.
right? People here want them because they look nice, they look special. That's why uh he had a Bandai make a black and gold Megazord toy as an exclusive figure, or Super 7 had the black and gold Megazord and Dragonzord at the most recent PMC.
Yeah, it's
Also,
just to say
too,
that you
like
have
it's a
it.
throwback. Right, and
Yeah.
it's also a throwback to the original like run where I think the black and gold was a very rare product to get, so it's just paying homage to that. But
Yeah.
don't quote me on that.
And the fan stream also included a mea culpa on all of Hasbro's quality control issues, as well as a link to reach out to if you are having issues with toys. They recently also announced that they were stepping back from their full cardboard box display style and reintroducing the window so you can actually see what you're getting in the box.
Yeah. I mean, that's great, honestly, that they did it. One of the things that I noticed, though, was that they didn't say that they were working on it or that they're going to fix it. They just said, we know we've made mistakes. Please call us if you get any mistakes. I hope that it's a step in the right direction. I have to admit, a lot of the quality control issues have really turned me off from this line. And I've got 2 glass window cases full Lightning Collection stuff.
And also this past weekend at Fayetteville Comic Con, Scott Zillner was involved in this too. A event remembering Jason David Frank. And Josh, you watched a bit of it. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Sure. So the Clear Up did not attend the event. They had a special option where if you could purchase like essentially a pass to watch it on a live stream for it. They also had a special for it where Henshin Productions was doing a very special Dragonzord coin with like the Suicide Foundation on the other side. And yes, I bought that coin. That's well worth the money going straight to Suicide Helpline. But it was a great little live stream. They had a lot of basically it was a panel set up to pay tribute to JDF of not only what did he mean as a father to Jenna, what did he mean as a coworker to like Jason and Ciara, but also to what did he mean to the fans? What did he mean to the people? And a lot of Rangers were there already this weekend anyway, from Jason Font, Hunter, I'm probably butchering her name, Dino, uh, Dino, Barbara Goodson, Walter Jones, Blake Foster. There was a whole bunch. And basically, what they did was they talked about him for a little bit and then basically gave the mic to an actor to talk about their stuff, like their experiences with him, whether they experienced him on show, um, whether they were his coworker, like did they know him in another association like Legend of the White Dragon, and then they would let the fans speak, and it was about a nice little 2.5 hour-ish um, panel essentially, and Bat in the Sun was there and gave a lot of like background footage for some Legend of the White Dragon stuff coming up, and then they kind of capped it off with a green candle that they lit as a very much a tribute to him of uh let's end it on a very positive note with it as well. I thought the green candle was a very, very, very touching aspect, and each of them had very personal stories with it because it ranged from like, oh yeah, Walter's like, who's this guy doing all the hi-yahs and everything, to Kevin and Jeff going like, we didn't know he was supposed to even be on the show until he showed up one day. And one of the highlights was like Kevin, he played Ethan in Dino Thunder, and he said one of his very first interactions with JDF was, "My man, I grew up watching you, and I wore green Ranger pajamas." He's like, "Well, thanks for making me feel old now, Ethan." And he's like, "And that will stick with me forever." But they all had great experiences. A lot of them opened up the stuff that they haven't talked about before. And it was just a very, if you can, and I think it's on the website, or just Google it, for it, it's well worth the watch. It's worth hearing the stories and just how exceptional of a human being he was, and just went above and beyond in everything that he did. We may all have our controversies with some of the stuff he did, but at the end, it was a very touching tribute, and for what they did for it and how quickly they were able to assemble it, it's well worth a watch.
Okay, thank you. Try to include that in the show notes. Also, something that wasn't included in the fan stream, but still, Ranger Board, the Ranger Board official Twitter, noticed it, is that their 30th anniversary shirts now on Amazon. I liken this to the Team Common Rider shirts, where it's clear you order this and they will stamp this design on a shirt. But there's shirts and tank tops and hoodies, if you want, stamped with the 30th anniversary logo, or a Green Ranger design, or a Red Ranger design, or one with the MMPR team on it, and a couple others. But they're reasonably affordable. Like, you get a shirt for like $23 plus tax and shipping if you're not on Prime. And it's good to finally have some official merch out in the wild for the anniversary.
It's okay.
I want a new shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going on a cruise soon. A tank top would be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably spring for one of these maybe next payday or something like that. It's good to know these are out there before the actual like date of the 30th anniversary. But you wonder if there's anything else besides Cosmic Fury that they have planned for the year to celebrate.
Maybe something in August.
Maybe, but you can find the shirts by searching Amazon for Power Rangers 30th anniversary shirt, or we'll include a link to this search in our show notes if you can't be bothered to do that. And there is actually something else going on for the 30th, an unannounced mall tour. Our friend Mike Dent, who we had on the show some weeks back, found the tour pop up at his mall. There are Mighty Morphin costumes there. There's activities and very, very kid friendly. I'd liken it to something that Bandai did around the time of I believe Operation Overdrive, where it's just people in suits and some giveaways and that sort of thing. It's very low key. There's not even a website for this tour. If it's headed to you, just like your mall's website might be the place to find out. There's some kind
website?
of
Do malls even have people, let alone websites anymore?
What is a mall?
Like, yeah, it makes sense because they want to go to like, I get it, it's retro, it's 90s, it's fine, but it just seems like a baffling decision.
It's called the Power Up
Call it what they
Tour,
want.
and in Mike's case in Milwaukee, there were tickets being offered for a post-show meet and greet with these costumed rangers. It was free to go standby, or $11 for VIP with blue and yellow only. Again, it's all very vague, and he put up a video about his visit to the tour stop that we're going to link to in our show notes. But you wish that they would actually, if they're going to do something, announce it. But it reminded me of a time that Hasbro tried to resurrect Saban's idea of having a live show tour, and those plans quickly just sputtered away, didn't actually manifest into anything.
The entire thing kind of sounds like a tax write-off to me.
I don't know. The purchase of E1 certainly turned out to be a tax write-off for Hasbro. They're actually making progress towards selling Entertainment One. And we learned this week from Deadline that the wheels are definitely turning on that. According to Deadline, Lionsgate and Legendary are still in the running to acquire a majority stake in the studio. And there are other suitors, including CVC Capital Partners and distributor Go Digital Media Group. Fremantle was among the bidders, but pulled out once the sticker price soared. Now, it says Lionsgate and Legendary would acquire a majority stake. That's the idea, and maybe not all of it. So maybe Hasbro will keep some the way they still maintain a minority stake in Discovery Family. There's a lot that we don't know about how this deal would work, because E1 is, especially after they rolled AllSpark Studios into Entertainment One, they're producing a lot of stuff based on Hasbro IP, like Power Rangers, but also Peppa Pig, which isn't for sale, and all the other things in their Family Brands division. So we don't know what kind of arrangements would be reached when E1 is sold to facilitate the continued production of Power Rangers and all these other shows. Hasbro bought E1 in 2019 for $4 billion. They sold off the music business for $385 million, which included Death Row Records and a lot of things Hasbro had no interest in keeping. But it's part of this strategy under Chris Cox to refocus on things that will sell toys. And distributing movies like The Woman King doesn't sell toys.
Honor Among Thieves does.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes back to how they're so already tied into other things Hasbro's doing, but they're also not Hasbro's core business.
Yeah. I hold the very, very, very firm belief that E1 was going to be their major publisher, and when the pandemic hit, all those plans just completely changed. And I know a lot of people don't like the Illuminati, but I fully believe that Hasbro was going to basically do their own thing with E1 and call it quits with Toei, and then all those plans changed. Again, rehashing what I said, all the plans changed with pandemic, and they just don't see the financial viability of E1.
I think the bigger thing is buying Power Rangers and buying Entertainment One were part of Brian Goldner's strategy, and he's not around anymore.
Correct. I think it's like I feel like their strategies for some stuff just did not come to fruition for it, because of how much reorganization. Like, we're in the 10 around that time they bought E1. That was also about the 10-year soft relaunch of many properties such as Transformers and My Little Pony. Power Rangers was kind of in that, and I think they're kind of in the Disney part of we have too much. We need to now kind of prioritize who we want at the forefront and who do we not at this point. Luckily, Power Rangers seems like it's at that forefront, but how long that will last, I don't know.
And Cox, however this shakes out, said in February that he expects to have an update sometime in the second quarter. And the second quarter just began a couple weeks ago. And moving on, Power Rangers Hyperforce is back after about 5-6 years in the wilderness. We are getting a one-shot written by Misty Flores and Hyperforce Pink herself, Megan Camarena. And this is great for Melissa Flores because she helped oversee Hyperforce back in the day when she was working at Saban, and now she gets to write this continuation of the story that fans have been clamoring for ages. Getting a one-shot. This is an exclusive from Screen Rant that will hit comic book store shelves on July 19th. In addition to being co-written by Megan Camarena, they'll be joined by artist Federico Sabatini, colorist Brian Valenza. There will be cover art by Kayla Valerio, who did the cover for Power Rangers Unlimited, The Death Ranger. And there will be variants by fan favorites Gonyi Montez and In-hyuk Lee. The the story will follow the Hyperforce team as they scour the multiverse after Mistress Vile, formerly known as Rita Repulsa, and Dark Spectre invade the Morphing Grid. The comic will follow the Hyperforce team as they scour the multiverse for allies after Mistress Vile, formerly Rita Repulsa, and Dark Spectre invade the Multigrid. And the Hyperforce Rangers will be pushed their limits as the villain's dark contagion spreads. And it is just so great to... It's vindication for fans who wanted Hyperforce back after all this time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's funny that the Once and Always trailer, everyone was freaking out that the symbol of Hyperforce was on the command center, only for it to literally, like, not at all be relevant, and it's probably not even connected. Just keep in mind with this comic, as it looks like there's some more info coming out, this is going to be tied to the next story arc of the comics. It's not going to be based off of the RPG stuff. It's not a season 2. This is just more what is happening with Mistress Vile and Dark Spectre.
Yeah, absolutely. And the variant art from In-hyuk Lee has Alpha 55 and Hyperforce Pink on it. It just looks fantastic, and I cannot wait.
It looks great.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest, I am so behind on the comics, but I'm definitely excited to jump back into them very soon.
And when I posted about this on the subreddit, there were actually people who said they were working through Hyperforce right now, just happened to be like on YouTube going through. I mean, I really admire that because each of those episodes is really, really long, like 3 hours or so, if I recall. And like so much of the fun of Hyperforce was being, in the room, so to speak, contributing to super rolls and watching it happen live. And it'll be interesting to see how the story unfolds in a setting where it's not interactive like that.
I think it will be fine.
Yeah, it's really fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And we've also got a little bit of Tokusatsu news this time before we head out. Shin Kamen Rider, we do have details on when it'll be hitting theaters. It'll be screening on May 31st. Tickets are available on the Fathom Events site, or you can look up when screenings are near you on Fandango. I already got my ticket for the Cinemark near me, and I was like one of the first people to buy tickets for that particular screening. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be really
theaters
exciting.
On a Wednesday.
I mean, you get what you can get. I think I want to say Shin Godzilla was on a weird day of the week too, or excuse me, Shin Ultraman.
the Shin movies typically do well?
And I think Shin Ultraman did pretty well, if I recall correctly. I think we did something on that a while ago. I don't know. Can't really take a guess on how Shin Kamen Rider will do, because like, whereas Ultraman is on Netflix, like, the anime is on Netflix and it's very accessible here, Kamen Rider is not so much accessible here. But speaking of Ultraman, we also got an Ultraman announcement from Tsuburaya. Ultraman Blazar is coming soon. There will be a simultaneous English subtitled and dub release. This new series, which begins July 8th, takes place in a world where kaiju attacks on Earth are commonplace. A global guardian force, GGF, has been assembled to protect the people, with the elite group Special Kaiju Reaction Detachment, or SCARD, on call to fight the monsters.
That
this is from
sure sounds like Ultraman.
Yeah, I know. The captain of this new SCARD is Gento Hiruma, an outgoing young man eager to protect his wife and young son, and with the power of the Blazar Stone Blazer Brace, he becomes the Giant of Light, Ultraman Blazar. Gento is played by veteran tokusatsu actor Tomoya Warabino, who also played Heart in Kamen Rider Drive, and you can find a link to the trailer again on RangerCast.net. Now, because we wrote the show notes for what has become now 2 episodes, one last thing before we go, kind of informed by what we talked about in the first part. Now, the way y'all see it, we've had a bunch of anniversary episodes: Forever Red, Dimensions in Danger, Once a Ranger, now Once and Always. Where do you feel Once and Always ranks among anniversary episodes?
Honestly, I'd say just the fact that they kind of allowed the show to grow up with its cast for maybe the first time in a long time. I'd say it's in the top 5, if not the top.
Well, there have been 5.
Faint praise.
Oh, well, yeah. So my point stands, Arsef.
It's in the top 5. There's only been 5. Oh, that's big brain mode. Can't go below 5 if there's only 5.
Exactly.
I think Mike would be inclined to agree it's in the top 5.
Material.
Now, my opinion is that it's the best, just because it allows the characters to age with the viewers. But yeah,
Josh?
I'm gonna mirror what I said in the first part. I have it at a firm number 2. Forever Red to me is still the top 1 just because of the circumstances around it. Time, tone, place, everything. Yes, the ending's garbage with the Wild Force Rider. I still hold the firm belief that's just Proto Serpentura and not the real one, but it's a firm number 2 because I also agree that letting it grow up, letting us tell an adult story, which we know Saban was very much against, but when he had the license, and just making it a very personal story, it's hard to beat that. And Walter and David just, man, they make that special just shine. I'd have Dimensions in Danger at number 3. And what was the other 2? Once a Ranger, and what was the other one?
Legendary Battle.
Yeah, Legendary Battle.
Legendary Battle's last. Once a Ranger 4th.
It's like, I think of the old Deadspin, now Defector. Whenever they're doing rankings, the last thing is always preceded by getting hit by a bus.
Yep, that's about right here.
And then Legendary Battle.
Yep. Or in our case, having a headache and then Legendary Battle. I'll take one of Reed's headaches over that before Legendary Battle.
Really, Josh is trying to set me up because he keeps equating Once and Always with firm number 2, which is a comparison that I often give myself between those two things. I often call Once and Always a firm number 2, but that's probably not the way you're thinking.
That's funny.
As someone who is just tired of anniversary specials, I don't like the, for lack of a better term, the self-flating nature of them all. Like, I want to watch the show. I don't want to watch the show celebrate itself. I can celebrate on my own, thank you very much. I don't need you to tell me how to feel happy when I'm watching a show that I like. I guess I would put it firmly in the middle of the 5. Legendary Battle is god awful and rushed and ridiculous. Dimensions in Danger is the Tommy show, which is fine for what it is, but it's not Power Rangers. It's celebrating one person. Once and Always, kind of the same in a way. Like, it's celebrating one person. The circumstances are different, but I feel like a lot of what Power Rangers is teamwork, interpersonal relationships. It understandably was more focused on Trini and Min, but like it was necessary. But it didn't feel very Power Rangers to me. I don't know if it's something I can watch as regularly as a pleasure than I can something like Once a Ranger or Forever Red. I'm very much in the minority opinion that I have Once a Ranger as the best of the 5, because not only is it a fun way to get past actors back, not only does it treat the returning cast with respect, it works as a continuity in its own story. It continues the narrative of Overdrive more. Now, the quality of that narrative is notwithstanding. That's another discussion for another day. But it does continue what Overdrive set out to do, and it can stand as part of that season in addition to being its own thing. Whereas, especially with Once and Always, I feel like they're like these little pockets of nostalgia, and it doesn't really work as teamwork, if you will, with the other episodes. So I guess I would put Once and Always at a number 3 ranking out of 5.
I think one of my issues, excuse me, with Dimensions in Danger was that, with a couple exceptions, the returning Rangers could have been anybody.
Oh, you mean like Rocky and Kat in this?
And let me finish. I think that something that Once a Ranger did do well is that, these Rangers are given lines that could only have been theirs. And I think that what we got for this anniversary wasn't, just like these Rangers dropping in on the Dino Furies. It wasn't, a cameo. We got essentially an episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But we also got closure and catharsis. And the possibility of something after this involving Min, Billy, Adam, Aisha. And I think that for both not for both the actors and the characters, I think the special did right by them. And I think that it's something that I do personally plan to revisit in the future. And I think that for the show as a whole, it was the kind of cultural moment Power Rangers hasn't had in years. And I think for a lot of reasons, it Once and Always will age pretty well. So I think that for those reasons it claims my personal top spot, despite you know despite its flaws. So that's going to be it from us for this episode. We will see y'all in a couple weeks. Have a great one.
Bye.
Ah.
If you like what you just heard, find us at rangercast.net or look us up in your favorite podcast app. Reach out to us on Twitter or leave a voicemail on our website. The opening theme is by Daniel Park. The ending theme is by me. RangerCast is distributed under Creative Commons license, attribute and share alike.